All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. Hey, it's been a while since I've looked at the psychedelic sector, so we will be doing that today. We'll be starting with mind medicine and working our way through about 6 tickers. We'll do what we always do, right? We're going to look at the daily and the weekly. We have our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do manually draw myself. And then once we're done up here, we'll use the MACD and the RSI as our lower indicators. Again, I like the RSI more than the MACD. I just keep the MACD to really get confirmation of my RSI reading. If you've watched these videos, you know I like me some confirmation before I put my money into something, right? So what's been happening? Look, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember the last time I made this video. I didn't really check. I don't know if we talked about this gap or not, but oh man, obviously nothing worse than a gap down. That said, there's no reason to have any sort of money in this thing since September, right? I mean, on the 6th of September, we clearly we were trading in a cluster, right? I say that often. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 5 of my moving averages in a pretty tight window. You just kind of trade in the window until you either go up or you lose it and work your way down, right? You've seen it across a number of stocks that we do these videos on. Once it loses the cluster, all it's doing is riding down, right? This might have faked out some people. Ideally, it didn't fake you out if you've been watching these videos, right? 2 clear things, right? Number 1, never got over the 8. So you know if you watch these videos, we don't really even consider a stock unless you're over the 8. It's not an easy thing to do. I know it sounds silly and sometimes it's almost a penny or 2 off, but getting over this green moving average, and I have no idea the math behind this line. I don't really care about the math behind the line. I just know the computer's doing its magic, putting these lines here, and I just kind of follow it, right? So that's what I'm trying to teach you guys. So again, it just was staying under the 8. Hopefully that told you to stay away from the stock. And as all these people felt really what was more than a 50% drop, this thing went from 6 to 3. I mean, literally, it was actually under 3 at one point, right, during that day. So there was a 50% drop here. And I mean, again, I hope you didn't I hope you knew not to have any sort of skin in the game unless you're a long trader and bought it a long time ago and you're just waiting for the rules to change in the next 10, 15, 20 years, whatever that might be, right? So that said, all we're doing now is, again, continually trading under the 8. This looked like a decent attempt. Clearly, we did not get the confirmation we wanted. Still trading under. Hey, look, the market seems like it's trying to turn around until it does and we get confirmation. You know, just keep that in mind, right? Wait for confirmation. Look, this is a horrible weekly. Nothing but red candles on the weekly is going to mean nothing but a whole mess of red on the daily, right? And again, you see little blips of green, but as you zoom out, all it was nothing but losses. Really, like I said, since that September cluster loss, right? And you know, I don't practice these videos. I didn't see this before I made this, but literally since September, the weekly has been so bad, and that should tell you stay away from the daily, right? Hey, if this can ever get over the green, it's going to want to get here. There's some, decent plays. And at some point, really, once it breaks this, I guess I'll make another line right here because this is a line worth having. Once it breaks, we'll call it 350, right? This is a nice gap. Though some people lost 50%, hey, we're going to try to fill that gap and make up that 50%. You know what I mean? So this is a really important line. I would set an alert if I was you. I'll tell you, I'll do it after this video for sure. And hey, if we break this, I want to see a run to right here, right? To 5 something. I mean, that's a huge profit, right? So again, someone else's pain, unfortunately, hopefully will one day be my gain, right? So it's a sad world out there. I realize it. I didn't mean to laugh like that, but hey, it is the truth. So again, mind medicine, I would wait a bit before making a move. And again, I sincerely hope you knew to stay away from this thing. All right, so CYBN made what looked like a decent attempt, okay? On October, look, let's kind of zoom out a little bit. Let's take a step back, right? I don't remember the last time I made this video. Definitely some moments where CYBN was trading up. I remember really liking CYBN a lot at some point, actually. September was a death month, pretty much just like we saw on Mind Medicine. And again, though that's bad news, I like it when stocks in a sector do the same thing, right? These all should move together. I say that a lot across my videos because it's true. They should, right? So we see that same bad September. This made a bit of a better move than Mind Medicine, because obviously Mind Medicine actually hasn't made any move. It's just been that the whole time. Unfortunately, the move wasn't enough, and clearly we failed it, right? And I'll be honest, it was more my line, I would say, than anything, right? But look, it wanted to break the 20, it failed. It wanted to break the 20. This could have fooled some people because it actually looks like it's still over the 20, but definitely lost the 8, right? And again, though you're over the 20, if you're not over the 8, that's almost my rule number 1, right? This is not financial advice, but stay over the 8. I mean, it's you'll hear me say it a lot. I'm beating that drum for a reason. And then from there, it just loses the 8 and it's working its way down. That's a real ugly RSI. We love the invert of that. We want the green line going up and the red one staying, but this is looking like this RSI has been as low as 9. So there's still some drop to be had if it wants to, right? Let me go to the weekly. All right, we're at least not super all-time lows. Ooh, I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was a reverse split. I don't know if that was just some sort of something. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely no real trading till basically November. I don't know the history. Someone actually, I got this stock I think on a comment, but nonetheless, I'll say it. I like CYBN. CYBN has been a real good stock to swing. It's just definitely not there yet, right? We definitely want to get over the 8, and really, this is going to be some money trading if we can get over this 50. We can get over the 50, it'll be an easier ride to the 100. Yeah, to the 100, sorry, versus trying to battle these two just to get there, right? And clearly we failed it once. That was actually the last time we tested this. So yeah, might be worth waiting. Otherwise, just kind of be careful here, right? So yeah, again, that would translate to breaking all of these on the daily. And hey, if you can get over all of these, there's no reason it wouldn't come back up here, right? So trade safely with this one, but there's probably better fish in the sea if I had to guess. Again, same downward that we see, not as I think this one almost lines up with Mind Medicine, MNMD, if I can just do that really quickly. Not as bad, because obviously the gap was here, but I mean, it's actually not that far off, ATAI. Nonetheless, it's just pretty much a hard drop since September. You can see the cluster of moving averages going horizontally and then eventually working its way down, right? It's classic, I'm telling you. It does this, and then it'll either go up, and it's a great thing, that's where you want to be, or it goes down and you just stay away until it tells you, hey, I'm ready to go back up, right? Again, it kind of looks like it wants to curve. Nothing matters until we get over the 8, right? It's much harder to do than you'd expect. That's what I'm telling you. Just wait till you get over the 8. That's for sure a hard cluster, right? So, but I'll say if we can get over the 20, if basically a ride from 323 to 380 would be great. That's actually a little bit more than 10%. It's actually 20%. It's around 60 cents, right? So that's a nice 20% gap there, with really the only line being at 350. So, and even that right there is about 10%. So you have a 10% and a 10% with a pretty safe, hey, do I keep going or get out here? So set an alert for 323 and just wait. That's actually what I would do. So yeah, that's how I would play this. Let's look at the weekly real quick. Again, ugly weekly, right? You want to see it go up like that, right? When the weeklies are good, great time to play. When the weekly is bad, you're going to have a bunch of bad days, right? So it's just a repetitiveness that I hope is going into the brain, into the back pocket, and one day comes out and makes you some good money. Compass, literally the exact same thing, right? A little bit wider for sure, but look, there's a bit of a channel going on right there. And then it doesn't happen as early in September with this one. But yeah, by mid-September, it definitely falls under the 200, right? falls out of that cluster, and then just riding under the 8, right? Again, from here to about here is a roughly 30% gap. If you can get over the 20, that's not a bad ride. But again, there are better places to put your money immediately. This one's not one that you want to go immediately into. But there is potential to ride it from here to here if that breaks from here to here, right? So I'd wait. I'd set an alert. Being patient will go a really long way in making you some good money. I promise you that. I'm not really going to talk about the weekly there because nothing looked fantastic. I'll at least say this RSI looks pretty good. I think that's worth noting a little bit. It looks like it bounced off a line, which is a little bit good. But again, I need to get over the 8 and then wait for confirmation as well, right? And hey, maybe the get over the 8 and confirmation will put you in that good channel, in that good little pipe that I want to be, right? Between that line and that line to hopefully trade it. So that's why, hey, I know it sounds silly when I say don't buy it when it's going up, wait till the next day. I know it sounds silly, but we're not here for short-term gains. We're here to buy and really just take it easy as it works its way up, right? Like it's a beautiful thing. I promise you that. SEEL. Celos. Again, interesting chart here. While the others failed in early September, this one actually kept going up. Clearly, it did do the same thing and is kind of what looks like failing this horizontal cluster, right? But real interesting to see that this actually had almost a full September, a little more than half a September run up, right? I would keep that in mind because this one tends to I don't want to say tens, but it at least was the only one that did it, and that might mean this one could be a little stronger than the others during good times. That said, it did eventually, like I said, kind of play out the same. You can see this horizontal cluster, and there was another one where it wasn't all the lines, but it was very, very focused on the 200. I forgot if it was Compass or ATAI, but yeah, again, once it loses that 200. It looks like it's working its way down. Very ugly RSI with the MACD kind of confirming it, right? So nothing too good here. Not a bad weekly. Again, like I said, this was looking like one of the better weeklies. I don't know if the other ones even got to the 50 on the weekly, right? So again, this one, I don't know if it was news that did it. I don't know if this one's just a little further along. Hey, maybe this one has other divisions other than psychedelics. I'll be honest, I don't know this stock well, but interesting to see what was a much better weekly. Again, it's bad right now, right? So that said, this one could do really well in conditions. And look, if this thing can break $1.10, there's a good chance it almost could run near $2, right? That's a 50 banger right there, right? So a lot needs to happen to break 110, don't get me wrong, but it's worth setting an alert, right? So be a little patient, wait for it to happen. Huge cluster right there. Interesting. We were focusing over here. I never actually looked over here, right? But that's going to be hard to get over. It's going to be real hard to get over 95 cents and confirm, especially with the 20 so close, right? So it is bad that we're under this cluster because that makes me think it is actually going to keep going down. And then TRUFF, last on the list. Interesting. Okay, again, I always say it on these decimal stocks. Make sure you can see all 4 decimals. I do not move any money on this thing. You can see it says simulated buying power. There is no real buying power on this. I only use it because it lets me do what we're looking at now, the chart readers, and then the one that I call it. But this thing is pretty much sitting in a cluster, right? It's actually under the 200. Let's see. Like I said, there was another kind of cluster movement here. We don't want to be under that. And really, these aren't super good candles, right? So there's not a lot of volume, I imagine, if this is what the candles are kind of looking like. So again, though, regardless of all that, get over the 8 is rule number 1. And in all honesty, the safest place is wait to break 9 cents. Again, you can see all the decimal points that way. Look at that. So the safest entry would actually be waiting for 9 cents because 0.08 947. That's the red line. Wait till you get over the red line, because this is a hard cluster that you don't want to trade in. Trust me. Wait till you break that, and you'll have a bunch of good space up there. So that was last on the list. I hope you're learning. Markets are looking good, but this sector seems to be lagging a little bit, I'd say. So might be some better swings elsewhere, but hey, I have not made this video in a while, so I hope you're learning.